Welcome to the Wrestling Fan Talk Show. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Ron. And today we're going to do 10 things that I would like to see AEW do in 2022. In no particular order. I'm just going to list the number. Just an idea I thought of. Number 1, establish a women's tag team division. And what I mean by that is I see a lot of ladies out there and they are singles wrestlers.
You know, I didn't even think about that.
Then because they're singles wrestlers is because there's no tag team titles to go for. I'm not saying to make a tag team title in 2022. What I'm saying is establish the division. What I mean by that, when I watch Dark and Elevation, there are a lot of women's matches on there. And sometimes there are tag team matches like Tay Conti and Anna Jay. They're an established tag team. Penelope Ford and the Bunny seem to have established a tag team as well. I want to see a lot of the younger ladies that are up and coming that haven't made a name for themselves come in and debut in AEW as a tag team.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's been missing, I think, since the 80s. Remember when we reviewed the 1987 Survivor Series? And you had the Jumping Bomb Angels, the Glamour Girls. Where's that at? Where's a tag team that they come on the scene, they have a name, they're tag team specialist? I like to see that. I like to see that in 2022.
Yeah.
Where it's just not, they come on the scene, they're singles wrestlers, then they start getting into a tag team. You can still have that, but that's what's happening right now. I want to see, this is a tag team. This is a women's tag team. They go around the country. They went to different federations or promotions, and they are a tag team.
Yeah.
Well-oiled machine. There's a lot of men tag teams like that. I can't think of a women's tag team like that. So that's what I mean by establish that women's tag division. And once you establish it, then you can introduce the tag team titles for the women.
Yeah.
Because what I don't like to see is how the men usually have more tag belts than the ladies. Have it equal. I don't see why it's not equal.
Yeah.
Have every match in the women's division, tag or singles, mean something. There is a goal. When I see women team up against each other, what are they wrestling for? They win a tag match. What does that do for them?
Yeah.
It's usually to enhance a singles rivalry. I want to see the matches mean something in the women's division, especially tag team. My next one, number 2. Introduce the 6-man, or what they like to call the trios, tag team titles. I believe there are more than a tag team matches in AEW. What I mean by that, not your traditional 2-on-2.
Yeah.
There are a lot of 3-on-3, 4-on-4, 5-on-5, which is great. I love those type of matches. Again, there's a lot of trios out there. A lot of teams you can name off. A lot of factions you can name off. Let's go ahead and let those matches mean something.
Yeah.
Number 3, Survivor Series type of pay-per-view or a Dynamite special each year.
Yeah.
Now, they do have those elimination matches every now and then, but I tell you, I would love to see some time dedicated to that type of match. Survivor Series from 87 to around 91. 91's kind of when it fell off. So 87 to 90. Those 4 pay-per-views, I love them. I love the traditional Survivor Series match. And this is a type of thing, you have the factions that can go against each other, but what I love is that mixture of singles rivalries. What I love is when they split up the factions a little bit and they help out. That's why I really liked when FTR was helping out Malachi Black, even though they're part of the Pinnacle. When I do storylines and when I think of think of things. I like to have multiple branches on that tree that I draw out in my mind when I do a storyline. I like to see multiple things going on at one time. When someone's a world champion, I like to see multiple rivalries at one time, not a set standard of, all right, I'm finished with this guy. Let's move on to this thing. I like to see where you don't know who's going to come out. You don't know which rivalry is going to be, they're going to have that dedicated time to in that particular show. So I love seeing that interaction where MJF, he has his group helping out
Mm-hmm.
in a feud that he's not even a part of, and that's part of his group. And then they come back and they help him with his feud. I love that type of stuff. Multitasking, kind of in the rivalries and in your storylines. Number 4, loaded cards. Every quarter, kind of like when I say every quarter, once every 4 months, that Clash of Champions type of show. But like I said, AEW has a big enough roster
Yeah.
and everybody's fresh and they don't use them every week that you could put this show on.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody would be fresh. Once every 4 months, load that pay-per-view-esque free show on TBS because that's where they're headed to for Dynamite in 2022. Give us that main event quality show
Mm-hmm.
where it is loaded and it's free.
Yeah.
That's going to gather a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5, mixed tag matches. In AEW, there's a lot of couples. There's a lot of real life couples, and there's a lot of factions that have women in it. Well, I don't know if there's a lot of factions. I think of Best Friends, and then Britt Baker actually has her own faction, which is great, of women only that you don't need the men in. And then the Bunny, she's there with Matt Hardy and the 20 other people there with Matt Hardy again. So I guess I take that back. There aren't a lot of factions with women. But however, there's a lot of connections
Yeah.
where the lady and the guy seem to fit each other, and it would be great to see a mixed tag match. MJF keeps mentioning Britt Baker. Adam Cole's dating Britt Baker. CM Punk has a wife that used to be a wrestler. Jungle Boy's dating Tay Conti. Not Tay, I'm sorry, Jungle Boy's dating Anna Jay. Tay Conti, she's in with the Dark Order, along with Anna Jay. There's a lot of mixed matches you can do.
Yeah.
You keep mentioning Peter Avalon and Abaddon.
Oh,
That funny kid.
that would be amazing.
That would be awesome. The contrast where Peter, they take what they did there. Peter Avalon is in love with Abaddon,
Yeah.
this monster lady. Wouldn't that be perfect? They would give Peter Avalon something to do.
Oh, yeah.
It would almost be like, not to call her a monster or anything, but China,
Mm-hmm.
she was beautiful. And then Eddie Guerrero, when they started doing the Latino heat and everything like that, and China was a monster, as in she could just destroy
Mm-hmm.
guys. And then to see the more feminine side of her, where she kind of let her guard down from being this brute and became a lady and dating Eddie Guerrero, it was great. It was funny. Beth Phoenix
Yeah.
and Santino. It's always seemed like they had some guy that had that charisma and was funny, and then they had a lady that was just like destroying people that let her guard down. And
Yeah.
so with Abaddon and Peter Avalon, it would really boost
Mm-hmm.
them up, I think. So mixed tag matches. Then a theme or number 6, a theme or a storyline throughout the show. They kind of did it in the beginning, but I don't see it that often. What I really loved about the Attitude Era is every show kind of had a running storyline throughout the show or a theme. Meaning it started off with an interview, or you knew there was a title match, or there was someone that was jumped in the back. And throughout the show, it just went through each match, and then they would kind of go back to the segment, or sometimes they would run out during a match to continue that story
Mm-hmm.
of that show. I don't see that much anymore. Like a who done it, or when Stone Cold would go, "I'm looking for you tonight, Mr. McMahon." And
Mhm.
the whole show, you would have a match and then let's go see where Stone Cold is. He'd be looking through a locker, things like that. I don't necessarily say you have to do it every show, but a nice every now and then, that would be great. Where they
Yeah.
start the show off with a mystery, or even if there's a big match later that night, kind of have some promos leading up to the match, maybe an interaction, maybe a twist and turn. I know Tony Khan just said he doesn't like to promise matches and then not deliver. Sometimes fans don't mind that, as in, not that you show up and then you have changed the match, but have a reason to change the match.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest storylines that ever were someone getting hurt during the show and then someone took their place in the title match, things like that. I don't think the fans would mind that. If I'm thinking Brian Danielson's going to fight Adam Page, and then someone takes Brian Danielson out, and then all of a sudden it's MJF comes out, and
Yeah.
Things like that. Yes, I know you promote who's going to wrestle, but sometimes those twists and turns
Yeah.
work. I know WWE does that a little too much. WWE seems to have gotten on the theme of let me do the opposite of what you think is going to happen, even if it's the worst decision ever, just to say, hey, you didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
It's fine to do that every now and then, but don't let that be your main focus. And speaking of that, I know I speak about WWE and AEW. If I was AEW, and this is a special one that I just popped in, I wouldn't mention WWE that much.
Mhm.
If I got a question, if I was Tony Khan about the WWE, I just give him the blank answer. Because there's one thing that I noticed: the more you talk about the other company, it makes it seem like, oh, I'm after them,
Yeah.
or that's my goal. I'm gonna want to be like them. I wouldn't give if I'm competition, I wouldn't give them that respect of, oh, look, I'm
Mhm.
coming for you. You're higher than me, because that's what it makes it feel like. I was like, they're putting on a great show. We're concentrating on what we're doing. That would be my generic answer every time.
Yeah.
To portray to them that I'm worried about my show. My show's doing good. It shouldn't be like a competition
Yeah.
vocally. Do your job, get it done, and let it naturally and gradually happen. The more
Mhm.
you mention it, the more it gives fire to the others to say, oh, look, you're paying attention to me. Because the fans are really paying attention to who mentions who and little jabs and this and that, which is fine. I guess that was what WCW and WWE did back in the
Mhm.
Attitude Era, but you don't have to do it. You're putting on the better show. Just continue. Let your actions speak rather than your words. Number 7, storylines on Dark involving the lower talent, a la an NXT type of show. What I mean by that, I watch Dark, I watch Elevation every once in a while. It doesn't really catch my eye as it did prior, since I was trying to absorb AEW. I don't watch it as often. I'll put it on and it, but it's just like one match after another, and there's really no rhyme or reason for the matches. I like to see a little bit more of a show rather than here's a match, here's a match, here's a match, here's a match.
Yeah.
Put on a show. It may just be on YouTube. The people there in the crowd see it before anyone else because it's live there. Give us some storyline. Give some meaning to it.
Yeah.
Have a match where someone's winning a lot, and this is their chance, almost like a Dana White looking for a fight type of thing, a contenders match, where if they win that match, they're going to get a shot on Dynamite.
Yeah.
So you can build your younger stars up rather than here's a match, here's a match, here's a match, here's a match, and they don't mean anything.
Mhm.
And then they might reference it on Dynamite. Oh, they're on a 10 win streak. Like when they mentioned the Gun Club being undefeated in 6-man tag action, most of the matches came from Dark.
Yeah.
But let it mean something. If they're winning these 6-man tag matches all the time and there's no titles, what's the end game for them?
Mhm.
Number 8, a top 10 list instead of a top 5 list. Now, these lists I see that they do, it's mainly storyline driven. Like with Wardlow being in the top 5. I mean, who has Wardlow really defeated to be in the top 5 of all singles wrestlers. We know it's probably storyline driven, which I mentioned before with the MJF, maybe the title scene. Have a top 10 list and have a dedicated part of the show. They used to do it in WCW during the time of the Dangerous Alliance, my favorite faction of all time, where it was Tony Schiavone, and he would break down the top 10 lists of the show. Let it mean something. I don't want to find out, like, just randomly that Wardlow has now popped into the top 5. Let me see on the list that he's creeping up there a little bit instead of just popping into the top 5. Now, if they were saying, hey, Wardlow's number 10 on the list, and I knew that a month ago, then I wouldn't be shocked that he's in the top 5. Like, have a little wiggle room where the 10 through 6 doesn't really mean as much, but you can see someone moving up and down instead of the top 5. And then for me to find out just by watching the show, oh, yeah, he's number 5. Why? When did he get in the top 10? I don't know. So have a show like that. Or not a show, but have a segment like that. Let me know who the top 10 are. They have a control center now. They do that on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Tony Schiavone. Remember back in the day when there would be a pay-per-view coming up, or they just want to update you. You go to the control center, or they would call it update in the WWE from the WWE magazine from the 80s. And they kind of fill you in with the news. I like to see more of that. I like to see a little segment of that on the show as well, kind of break up the monotony of match after match after match after match, which is great. Some companies don't do that. They have too much of what I'm talking about, but sprinkle that in. It's a little bit, more on one side than the other. You got to have a little mixture, especially those pay-per-view centers. Run down the card.
Yeah.
Let me know the update. That way you can film little segments. You could probably even talk about the vlogs or something that happened on the vlog. Fill me in on the news of AEW for that week. Or let's take a look at what happened last week when such and such got attacked. And, build it up. It's just it's on YouTube. Just an extra special control center. Make it feel important. Show it on Dynamite every once in a while. Number 10, mid-match interviews. Pop up on the screen, I wrote. I remember I would watch matches and Jake the Snake would be in the ring and he'd be fighting a guy that you knew he was going to beat. And then all of a sudden, the box would pop up and it would be Bad News Brown or Rick the Model Martel. And they'd be like, let me tell you something, Jake. The next time I see you, this and that. A lot of times, that was how I found out that someone wasn't liking someone. Like they would be wrestling, and then they didn't ever had an interaction. And all of a sudden, some guy would pop up on the screen and go, "I'm checking you out, Jimmy. I'm gonna see you soon." And then Grill Monsoon be like, "Oh, looks like they got a little something going on there. The model's searching for the Snake Man, or something like that." And then you realize, oh wow, those two are kind of starting something. I didn't even realize that. So that'd be kind of fun. I know AEW is kind of old school itself, but those are the little tiny tidbits that could just be little sprinkles on top to really put it over the edge and make it feel with what I grew up on. Do you have anything that you can think of?
No, that was actually really great. I wouldn't even think this. All those ideas were awesome.
Well, I appreciate you. It would be really awkward if you said those were terrible.
No, they suck. But no, they were really great. I actually agree with you on a lot of those.
Well, thank you. I'll slip you a $5 after the show here.
I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed the show as well, as much as Ashley seems to have. And I hope you join us next time.
Bye-bye.